Hello, my name is Dane Denson, and I am here to talk to you today about mitosis and meiosis. So, we're going to start with mitosis. The process of mitosis in whole is called the cell cycle. The cell cycle is an ordered set of events accumulating in cell growth and division into two daughter cells. Non-dividing cells are not considered to be in the cell cycle. So the stages. Sorry, it's backwards. But the stages are G1, S, G2, and M. So this is G1. This is G2. Nope. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. So this is G1, and then it goes to S phase, which is down here, which stands for synthesis, and this is where the DNA replication occurs. And then there's G2, and then there's mitosis, which is where the cell goes through the whole process of dividing, and that consists of prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and at the very end, cytokinesis. Yeah, so during this whole process, at the end of it, two new daughter cells are formed. So let's move on to interphase. So interphase is G1, S phase, and G2. So that's all of it. So the cell spends most of its time in interphase. So, interphase, so this is, for the most part, what a cell looks like while it's going through interphase. So, inside all this squiggly stuff is chromatin, it's condensed chromosomes, and this is the nucleus, this is the nuclear membrane, and these are centrioles. But, so, let's go through all the phases of interphase. Or the steps. So G1, which is this guy. G1 is when the cell makes more ribosomes and proteins, so they can grow into its proper size. S phase down here, which stands for synthesis. S phase is when it copies its DNAs. The proteins that package DNA and more cell membrane material. So then G2, which is right before mitosis starts, G2 is when the organelles divide, and that's the last phase before mitosis. So let's move on to the phase of mitosis. During mitosis, a eukaryotic cell undergoes a carefully organized and coordinated nuclear division that results in the formation of two genetically identical daughter cells. So here we have prophase. So prophase is like this happens right after interphase, or the interphase, which consists of G1, S, and G2. So after G2 and the whole interphase is finished, it goes into prophase. So right in here, all the like X-looking things are the uncondensed chromosomes. So as you saw before, this is called chromatin. It's condensed chromosomes. This inside here are chromosomes. These are the centrioles, and so that's the cell sort of getting ready at the very start. So metaphase. So that's the second step in and mitosis. As you see before, this little circle, it sort of disappears or like explodes in some way. You could say it explodes. It just like disappears, and then these little things called spindle fibers come out of the centrole and sort of line up the chromosomes in the middle and sort of like start splitting them in half. And then anaphase is more. It's just carrying it through and bringing it all in. And then once anaphase is done, it goes into telophase. So telophase is when everything as you see here. This is the nuclear envelope. The nuclear envelope is sort of reforming since back in prophase it sort of exploded, to say. And so then here's the centrally sort of winding back up, and then here's the cell about to split. So telophase is the cell's final stage to splitting, sort of. But we'll get more on that later. So yeah. So after telophase is done, it goes through a thing called cytokinesis. Cytokinesis is the physical process of cell division, which divides the cytoplasm of a parent cell, which is all this blue stuff in here, all this stuff. Yeah. So it divides. It divides that into two. It divides the parent cell into two daughter cells, which you saw before. So yeah, this whole thing is called a parent cell, and then here, so at the end it would be this top would be one cell, and this would be one cell. It occurs concurrently with two types of nuclear division called mitosis and meiosis, which occur in animal cells. So I talked enough about mitosis. Now let's move on to meiosis. Meiosis is a process where a single cell divides twice to produce four cells, containing half the original amount of genetic information. These are called our sex cells, which consist of sperm in males and eggs in females. The result of meiosis is a haploid daughter cells with chromosomal, I don't quite know how to say that word, but chromosomal combinations different from those originally present in the parent. In sperm cells, four haploid gametes are produced. So this is sort of what happens during meiosis. So here's the original. Here's like the single parent cell. And then, so these are individual chromosomes, and then they sort of come together, and then they split apart, as you see here. See how this one has four, now these ones only have two. And when they split apart, they sort of get a mix of each. So they get like a mix of blue and red, for instance, on each one. As you can see, this one has more blue than red. This one has more red than blue, but they both have a mix of both of them. And then from that they divide again. So yeah, and then they produce this, but except then they have that, and then from that it goes back to this, and then this whole process starts over again. So in the end, the result of mitosis are two diploid cells, and their goal is to divide constantly. In the end of meiosis, which is also, they both start off with one diploid cell, aka one parent cell. And from meiosis, from one diploid cell, it comes four haploid cells. And so, yeah, so that is all of these little guys right here. Mitosis and meiosis are very similar, but very different at the same time. Like mitosis, meiosis is a form of eukaryotic cell division. However, these two processes distribute genetic material among the resulting daughter cells in very different ways. Mitosis creates two identical daughter cells that each contain the same number of chromosomes as the parent. So as you see here, so it starts off as this guy, and then it goes from there, and then it ends like this, and so then this is identical to this guy. So the result of mitosis is that they create two genetically daughter cells, two genetically the same daughter cells. In contrast, meiosis gives rise to 4 unique daughter cells, each of which has half of the number of chromosomes as the parent cell. Because meiosis creates cells that are destined to become gametes, or the reproductive cells, this reduction in chromosome number is critical. So as you see here, this original cell has 4 chromosomes in it. Like here, this one only has 2, so that's what it's talking about. So if the number of chromosomes wasn't reduced, the union of 2 gametes during fertilization would result in offspring, which in humans are your babies, with twice the normal number of chromosomes. So we have 46 chromosomes. In this case, it would be 92 chromosomes if this didn't happen. So the purpose of mitosis is cell regeneration, growth, and asexual reproduction, which means that every time a cell is produced, they'll be the exact same. But the purpose of meiosis is the production of gametes for sexual reproduction. Mitosis is singular nuclear division that results in 2 nuclei that are usually partitioned into new 2 daughter cells. So now let's move on to the essential question. So the essential question is, does the process of dividing one thing create something new? And for this question, I said yes. The process of dividing one thing does create something new. Even if you're talking about mitosis, it still creates a new cell. And within that process, there's always a chance of something to go wrong, and therefore creating a new cell. So in meiosis, you're always creating a new cell. You're never going to have the same exact cell, same exact genes and cell layout and everything of the original parent cell. The new cell may share some of the same genes, some of the same traits as one of its parent cells, or both of those parent cells, but most of the time, you would get like half your dad's traits in humans. You would get half your dad's traits and half your mom's traits, and those would sort of mix and combine and create a new baby. And this is in meiosis, not mitosis. Since mitosis is asexual, means that, yeah. So the world-class outcome for this is solve complex problems using multiple models. So, and how does this project relate? So I said this project relates to the world-class outcome because you have to think of new ways to present old information. You can do this by showing pictures or creating a skit, showing pictures like I did, having them up to the screen and talking over it, or creating a skit of some sort, or creating a song. Just finding ways to present old information in new ways. So that's how this project relates to the world-class outcome. So this was Dane Dinson's video on mitosis and meiosis.